All right. And action. All right. Enjoy, ladies.
Thank you.
Yay! Maybe we will say, hey guys.
I know, it just feels different to say anything, but hey guys.
Hey guys,
Hey
this
guys.
is
The
Cynical Therapist. I am Laurie.
I'm Elle.
And we today are going to have a little fun one with a disclaimer again, just in case, because you never know.
Right.
The disclaimer is this is not therapy.
This is not even close to therapy.
At all. Well, I mean, you do sit on a chair or a couch.
We stare at you strangely and awkwardly for like a solid 15 or 20 minutes. And I do a lot of this in session too, so it's similar. I try not to. So I'll put my hair up so I can tell that my bun is bouncing. You know, I'm like, oh, I should probably stop the bobblehead.
That's funny. Oh, I like that. That's cool. So we thought we would do like a fun would you rather, so you can learn a little bit more about us.
Awesome.
If that helps you learn more about us. So I have a fun one that I made up for you.
Okay, go for it.
And then we'll do the ones that are on the phone. So,
okay, perfect.
So Elle is vegan, and clearly she wears black. So my question to you is, would you rather, for the rest of your life, wear pink or eat meat?
Wear pink.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. Easily wear pink. I think I could function at a higher level in a different color because I could figure out a way to work pink, but I can't even touch meat with my hands. And the new Impossible Burgers or whatever have a new texture portion where it mimics cartilage, and that's the thing where I stopped eating meat. Like the weird, like the ununiform texture of meat where you can have like crunchy spots and like veins and stuff like that. And so now, like, the Impossible Burgers have fake I was like, why? That's the whole reason I don't eat meat.
That's
because
interesting.
Of that weird, ununiform texture.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, wear pink.
Yeah, much more.
I mean, you do have a little bit of red on today.
I do. And I was like, I would just dye my hair pink. And, I mean, there's different types of pink, right? There's baby pink all the way to magenta.
Yes.
So I feel like
you'd make it work.
I would find a way. No bubblegum pink, though. That would be like one of those. Sketchy.
That's funny. I wasn't sure how you would answer that.
Really?
So that's awesome. I mean, I figured it would have to be wear pink because I got some of the meat stuff. So
yeah, totally. You got that
awesome.
part. All right. So my question to you: what is your intention this year?
Oh, that's a heavy one.
That's my style.
It's funny that you say that because I actually have them written on that green piece of paper over there.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I cannot read them from here.
Eagle eyes.
But I know two of them. So one of them is to have a thriving like private practice, but with the group. Yes. So we went from 2 of us to like 7 of us.
Yes.
All independent licensed practitioners.
Yes.
So that is one, and the other one was to write a book.
Awesome.
So
wow. Okay. What month are we in? 8?
Yeah.
Oh, we have a couple more months, huh?
Yeah. And so I have a lot. I shouldn't say I have a lot of it done, but I have some of it done. So full disclosure, I used to love to write. Yeah. So I think that was like the only thing that the teacher. I think I was in 6th grade, and I wasn't great at like things in school, but I took a class and we wrote poetry, and she ended up giving me, I remember it, she ended up giving me an award in 8th grade, so it was a writing award. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to be a writer, you know. So I went to my undergraduate, and then I thought I would apply to Columbia, New York, you know, because that sounded like really legit.
Right.
For poetry. Like I wanted to write poetry, which... Oh, thank God I didn't.
Oh, you'd be so broke.
Oh my God, I'd be so broke.
You'd be happy though.
Would I though?
Maybe? I don't know. You'd probably be a drunk.
I would probably be a drunk. For
and
sure.
It'd be okay because, I mean, you're a writer, so you have to be a shit show.
Yeah.
Right?
So, glad I didn't do that.
Yeah, me too.
But the book I've been working on, well, and you and I were writing some cynical stuff. So the book that I've been working on is called Unlovable, and it's about attachment stuff and like how that comes out in therapy. So I think a lot of times people, when we write, it's not just like stream. So because we're videoing, I've been like autoing a lot of it so I can write it, and I audio sessions with client permission.
Awesome.
So that always helps, like with some more like content and context of things.
I always think about going back. Like, I would love to be able to record just to be able to be like, what? Did I hear that right? Or you know what I mean? So that's really smart.
It's like a little audio thing. So, because videos too, aggressive. Like if they're trying to talk to you and there's a camera in the room, like
that's how it was at Salvation Army. That's how our sessions where they were recorded. And then you had to play them in front of the interns, and like 8 interns critiqued your talent and your ability to reframe and ask. Yeah, it was gnarly. It was gnarly.
Wow.
Yeah, awful.
Wow.
I mean, great program.
I always say anyone who can work at the Salvation Army, like, props. Like, that's like...
It was a lot, you know?
Yeah.
It's a really strong program, and it's hard to... Yeah, I couldn't make it.
Now I want to know what your intentions are for the rest of the year.
I always set intentions, and that's like the ongoing joke for birthdays, is that anybody who does a birthday in my house, as soon as they blow out the candles, I'm like... So what are you going to do this year? You know, my mom's like, oh, you know. And this year I always have an intention word, because every time I get stressed out, I try to like reintroduce a mantra of some sort. And last year's was no more scarcity, which the opposite of that is abundance. So my intention was always abundance. And so every time I feel like I have to fight over things or there's not enough for me, I try to picture, and this is kind of a bleak picture, knowing climate change and whatever, but the giant piles of trash with the seagulls circling and the bulldozers pushing pieces of trash. Like, we have so much in this world that we have nowhere to put it.
Sure.
So whenever I feel like there's not enough, I think about these giant trash piles, and I think, well, there's too much. So therefore, the universe is abundant, and I don't have to fight over what's mine.
Yeah.
So my intention this year was to believe in abundance and like kind of knock out all those weird things that are standing in the way of having, you know, this abundant life where I'm not fighting for scraps.
I love that. And I feel like between your abundance and my intention for a thriving private practice, it's like there's a lot of there's a lot of witchcraft there. Whichever way you look at it.
Right. All right. So a few would you rathers. Of course, they're like heavy and deep because that's my stick.
I was like, let's do something light. And she's like,
let's talk about self-awareness and death. No. All right. I like this question because it's a great question to ask your clients as well as each other.
Okay.
What are you pretending not to know?
Oh.
That's a good one.
What am I what am I in denial about?
I don't know. I mean, how do you answer?
What am I pretending not to know? That's so interesting. Do you know the answer to that one already?
I think it kind of goes back to that abundance piece. I pretend sometimes, like I trick myself into thinking that things are not going to be okay. Right?
Okay.
And then I try to like I pretend to know that things are going to be fine, but there's that existential fear of like, what if things aren't? But then I remind myself, well, things are fine. Things are going to be okay because they've always been okay. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, pretending that things might not be okay when I know for a fact that they're totally going to be okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. Mine probably goes back to that. I think we kind of joked about it the other day, what I'm calling the pretty woman complex now.
Yes, no, I love it.
So the part of the movie where she, you know, is still dressed in that white, in hooker clothes. I was gonna find like a nice way to say it. What's a nice way to say hooker
it's
clothes?
Pretty woman. We all know what pretty woman is.
What's a nice way to say hooker clothes? So she was dressed in that white. It's like a white top, and it has a little
cutouts.
It has a cutout and a little jewel thing here that holds the like blue skirt.
Which is
so she
80s.
walks into, you know, the bougie store, and they're mean to her, and they don't help her or whatever. Oh my gosh, I love her. She walks back in after she's gone shopping, and she said something like, don't you work on commission? And when somebody tells me I can't have something, especially when it comes to money, because we always say like, and it's interesting because my little sister and I were talking, and she has a different idea of it, but I think because of some things that were said to me throughout my life, or because of things that I knew, like getting bullied for not having the right clothes, or for being poor.
Being poor sucks.
And so that complex is like so heavy. So I think even when I'm thriving and when there is abundance, I'm still always telling myself,
More.
I'm still always telling myself more.
Fight for it.
Yeah.
Because there's
I'll
not
like
enough there.
think about stuff to sell, because I'll be like, if I lose a client or something, right? Like not in a bad way, like they moved on, they went somewhere.
Oh yeah, or they want to like, or they're successful.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, you did a great job. I gotta
Or
go.
they're doing great.
You're like, no.
Speaking of codependency.
Right.
I'll like because I redo pieces of furniture, so I'll be looking in the garage like, oh, what can I sell? And it's like, well, calm down.
Right.
Like, why do you need to sell anything?
They haven't even technically left yet. You just had a termination session. Like, I totally relate to that.
It is that scarcity thing, because it's like the bills are being paid. There's plenty. It's just
There's
yeah.
more
You
than
say
enough.
I never trust anyone who doesn't grow up poor, and
Yes.
I love that. I feel like it's actually what's made business successful, because you do have that mentality to like keep going and
the
like,
angle, right?
Yeah.
There's like one line through, and I feel like a lot of people who haven't had any suffering or strife in their life know that there's an easy way to get things accomplished. It's like point A to point B. But if like you've struggled and you've had to fight the system, or you've had to fight like the patriarchy or whatever, and you've had to scrap for what's yours, there's other ways.
Yeah.
It's like a multi-pronged approach instead of that one linear line. I'm like, oh, well, you said no, but there's that person who said maybe, and those other people said possibly. So I'm going to stick with possibly, then maybe, and then I'll get back to you when you're done with your no.
Yeah.
So I totally relate to that, and I think it's the I don't want to say Me Too movement, but I think it's the women's equality that's kind of poking at it now, where you're seeing more women saying, wait a minute, like, equality is going to take 250 years. Like, we don't have time for that. We are equal.
Sure.
We're just not presented as equal. And maybe that's the scarcity piece, is that we've had to fight and scrap and pretend that we're okay with half, when really we deserve more than what we have.
Sure. No, so true.
Ooh, here's a good one. Are you ready? In what ways are you being perceived that you're not aware of? Right? Ooh.
I feel like we talked about this the other day.
I think we did too.
See, I don't know if it's... I think I have slight awareness, but like Johari's window. So Johari's window is like you...
Yes.
How you see yourself, how others see you, things that you can't see about yourself, and things that others can't see about you. And so I think the other day you were saying that someone that you had met she reminds me of you. And I was like, really? Which is so interesting, because I always tell people you learn the most about the people that you don't like, or whatever you don't like in that person, because it's probably some kind of reflection. And 150%, because I'm a control enthusiast, and I think everybody knows it about me, that I have to be really mindful, because I'll immediately go to like, why is this person not listening to me? Why is this whatever? But it's like, well, they're not listening to me. It's like, no, they have an opinion too.
Yes.
So that's why the shelf, there was like a shelf for our office, and you had asked me like, which shelf do you think? I sent you a picture, and you had sent me some other ones. And I remember saying in my head, like, just let it go. It's a shelf. Like, let it go. It's a shelf. And so I sent a text to you saying like, yeah, get whatever one. The one that you got is amazing. And so like, if I had been like hell bent on, no, you have to get the white one. You miss out on the things that actually are supposed to be where they're supposed to be, or whatever they're supposed to be.
I love that.
So it's something that I'm noticing more, because before, when I was like a boss, right, it was clinical directing. So it was in a setting where people are kind of coming to you for guidance. Well, now we work with all licensed clinicians.
Yes.
This is like a collegiate, like we're collaborating, this is a team. And so it's funny, because I don't know that I'm a great team player, and I think that's something really great to work on, especially when you're with other people who are in your profession.
That's so funny, because I totally consider you a great team player. Like, there's a leadership quality to you. But for me, I like being told opinions, feedback, and stuff like that. For me, it's like, I don't really have, and this is just a personality trait of mine, I don't really have a lot of firm opinions about most things. Like, I know what I like, I know what I hate, but that spectrum between it is so ambiguous, and it morphs all the time, because I've been still to this day, I don't have like firm opinions on a lot of things, like the death penalty. I'm like, this and that, right?
Yeah.
Or monogamy versus polygamy, this and that. Like, I don't really, like, I'm open to suggestions always. So when it comes to a person, like, I can see myself living in 10 different houses. I can see myself driving 14 different cars. You know, it doesn't matter to me. So I'm more like, ooh, what is this person like? Can I like that too? Oh, I kind of do.
Well, I think a lot of that stuff is like what you internally are processing, right? Because outside of, if I get irritated at someone who I'm seeing something of myself in, that's probably something in myself that I haven't worked out yet.
Ooh, interesting.
Right? Like, it's not about that person and what I'm seeing in that person. It's about maybe these family issues or relational issues.
Totally.
It's these other issues that you haven't processed yet. But I wanted to go back because you said you enjoy feedback and you like that, whatever. The interesting thing is, when you give me feedback, there's certain people who give me feedback that I'm really open to, but I remember when I was doing the restaurant, somebody had called me abrasive. So when I was working on a restaurant that I was part owner of, and I remember, like, because we all have that inner voice, right? That like
Abrasive.
that doubts us and all that. And that's why instead of a control freak, I call it a control enthusiast, because I think it's really important that you do reframe, so you don't see that as a bad thing and just learn how to direct it towards
leadership.
good. So, but that's why I think I've always had a hard time with, like, not with feedback, right? Like, feedback is fine, but criticism is, there's a better way to say things, I think. So,
yeah.
But you are very open.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of firm, which is a strange thing to me, even knowing who I am, because I'm very sure of who I am, but there are these very, like, I feel like it's almost pixelated opinions about stuff, because there's so much I don't know. And like, the more I meet people, the more I learn from people, and I'm like, people teach me so much.
Yes.
Especially about spirituality and big pieces of who I am, and it's that reflecting piece. I had a conversation not that long ago with my husband about, it was like a very strange, like one of those big aha moments for me, where we were standing in the kitchen and we were having this conversation, the same conversation that we have all the time, where he's right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and he's wrong, right? Like, it's that thing where we're like just attacking each other. And he said, and this is his direct quote, "Every time I criticize you, you get so defensive." And my response, in like desperation, and I remember like this feeling in my chest and my body, and I was like, "Has it ever occurred to you that you don't have to criticize me?" And his eyes were like pop, like it was like, and we just sat there like in the moment of magic. Like, I'm like, I'm raised, dude. Like, you're not my dad, you're not my boss. Like, I'm a fully formed human being that criticizes myself, I would say 19 times out of 20 that I'm not doing things right. I don't need another voice.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing that you can tell me that I haven't like fixated and tortured myself about.
Yeah.
So chill the fuck out, like, sorry. It's one of those things where I think it never occurred to him that you don't criticize people, because he's critical.
Yes.
Which makes him a great boss, right?
Yeah.
Which makes him abrasive, right? And that's a thing where it's like, ooh, you're just supposed to love me. That's your only role here. Like, I am the mother of your children. Like, just love me. Like, slow your roll, man. Like, it's fine. And
I think that's what we forget. We forget that that's what it is. It's just loving, like, and people, and that's why because I'm your husband in our relationship, and
I'm yours.
It's so good to have those other people around you that you can learn from, and that do have different personalities, and
and
like,
that you can
it's so
trust.
important.
And it's like a choice of trusting, I think, especially as women, because we're not socialized to trust each other. So to be able to surrender to a relationship and be like, oh, this is safe. And even when relationships are safe, sometimes it just doesn't feel safe. And it's like, it has nothing to do with the relationship. It's kind of where we are with the relationships, or what's going on at home, what's unfolding in our families.
Sure.
Right? And I think that's the big part that you were talking about being introduced to a person that's kind of abrasive and being like, ugh, like, I feel activated. I feel flooded by this person. Wow, people feel like that when they're around me.
Yep.
Oh God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, there's that, right? But this is like the diatribe in most of my therapy sessions. Like, life gives you a lesson. You have like I feel like it's God's file cabinet, right? It's all the way up to the sky, and like every like drawer gets open and somebody pulls out a folder and they're like, oh, she seriously hasn't figured out how to deal with her control enthusiasm. Introduce her to this person. We'll see if it works.
Yeah.
And these lessons keep coming until you can kind of get through all your files and close it. And then that last dying breath, and then you're like, whatever, ascending to wherever you go after you're done. And it's like, so that was a lesson. And it's one of those corner pieces, like pop in the corner piece and be like, oh, wow.
That's why I started saying you learn the most from the people that you don't like or that trigger you.
Yes.
Right. And not in an abusive way.
No, not at all.
You learn from them too, but you need to leave those people.
Yes.
But yeah, it's that for me, that one statement of you learn the most from the people that you don't like. That statement helps me when I am being triggered or I am not sure how I'm feeling about somebody and it's bringing stuff up for me in me.
Yeah.
Then I have to revisit that and say, oh, remember when you remember when you ran that group and you said you learn the most from the people you don't like? This is your moment for that. And I'm
You're like, that was great advice that I gave.
You mean I actually have to follow it?
It's such bullshit. When like the stuff that we do works, I hate that.
Oh, it's
especially
the worst.
positive affirmations. I hate it. I hate that they work. It's so awful.
It's like,
No, not again. All right, so a final question.
Yay.
These are good. I want to give writers credit too. This is from Forbes, by the way. It's a list of questions that will change your life by Jason Nazar.
Ooh.
Let's see.
We're changing lives.
I know.
Morning.
Duh.
It's so early for that.
Right? Why don't you do the things that you know you should be doing?
That's funny. Why don't you do the things that you know you should be doing? Probably make up excuses for some of it. I know I should be working out.
Ooh, what's the difference for you between an excuse and a reason?
That's a good question. I know when I'm making excuses.
Ooh, see? So it's almost like a mood thing? Like excuses are this and reasons are different?
Yeah. I think you know when you're making up an excuse.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I have to be my own
for
coach.
sure. Oh, yeah.
If you catch me talking to myself in my car, I am not singing along to the radio. I am actually doing a therapeutic intervention because my procrastination and anxiety are so overwhelming sometimes that I have to like literally tell myself to get my shit together. Like, get into the store, Elle. Like, stop it. You're being retarded. And I know we're not supposed to say that word, but that's how I talk to myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm my best friend.
Well, and there's a difference between an excuse and a reason. Mm-hmm. So you're able to talk yourself through that. That's an excuse. But after I had, like, that traumatic situation, 3 or 4 weeks ago or whatever, and then we talk about trauma all the time in therapy, so it's important to get help for that. I literally could not, after that situation, could not walk into, I think my husband and I had gone to Lazy Acres, literally could not, like that was a reason. Like I walked in and I just started crying and like I had to leave.
Whoa.
And so like that's, I think that's different. Like if you're in like a traumatic situation, which would be, I mean, can be a plethora of things, right? Like, that I would call a reason, but then when you're able to talk yourself through it, because it was like when you're triggered by trauma, I think your amygdala shuts down. There's something in your brain that kind of shuts down, and I couldn't even tell myself in that moment that there was an excuse.
Yeah.
So I think when you can like step back and notice, like, okay, this is an excuse.
I'm being ridiculous.
I'm not going to the gym.
Yeah.
Versus if you're walking in somewhere and you literally, like
collapse.
agoraphobia, or you literally collapse or cry or something. Like I would say that's a reason, and that's like a good time to go see somebody.
Yeah, right. That would be the 10. The reason's a 10. The excuse is like a 2 or a 3.
Yeah, and for some people, the excuse feels like an 8.
Yes.
Just because we coach each other through that.
Totally.
Like I do not want to go get a key made. It's like, go get a key made.
That's the get your shit together, right? Yeah. I honestly had this experience too. And then when I went into Ace Hardware, love Ace Hardware because it's less overwhelming for me than the big stores or whatever. I don't mean to be like advertising anything, by the way. But when I came in, it's like a little mom and pop shop. There's low ceilings, which for me, with my social anxiety and my like agoraphobia, going into small places with low ceilings and like dimly lit, and it's like it always smells the same. And there's something about a hardware store that smells the same, and I'm like, okay. And there's like little trinkets and stuff like that. I can do this. But if I think about going to Walmart. Like I can't. And like I really have to get myself revved up for certain things. And I'm the best in certain hours of the day. But after like 3 p.m., I can't coach myself through shit. I'm like my best is over. Like I'm pretty much.
That's why we do this in the morning.
Totally. Shit.
Well, and that's interesting because for me, it has to be Home Depot. It has to be high ceilings.
Oh, interesting.
So that was the one we practiced. After that one, did it work?
Cool.
And yeah,
Whoa,
it worked.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, see?
Yeah. That's why I'm like huge on EMDR now. So my therapist had given me some EMDR grounding techniques. After that,
eye movement, desensitization,
and
what's that?
Reprocessing?
Reprocessing, that's what it is.
Is that what it is? Ooh.
Right?
Clearly we need to get
Yeah, no, I feel like there are so many acronyms now that I kind of just use an acronym and I'm like, wait, do I even know what that acronym stands for?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And that's why our new counseling is called Centered Counseling, and people think it's an acronym.
We have to come up with an acronym. I want to come up with something.
Something completely like not appropriate.
Yeah, totally. Like, of course it stands for that.
You're not going to get out of it. Your turn to answer that question.
Okay. What was the question?
What's a lie you tell yourself?
Ooh, yeah. Okay. Essentially, I think for me, let me get the exact question because I want to answer the exact question. Listening to this and not answering the exact question. Why don't you do the things you know you should be doing?
Oh yeah, because then we started talking about excuses versus reasons.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you do the things you know you should be doing?
My easy answer to that was fear.
Yeah, right?
Because we jumped into excuses and reasonings. Fear. Whatever the fear is.
Why don't I do the things I know I should be doing? I always have to check my motives. I think for me, 80% of my behavior is based on motives. And if I can check my motives and know that entirely purely I am here to help people, I'm a good human, I'm doing the good work, then that's what I'm doing that day. But some days, that's why I take one day off to be alone. I mean, I have a gang of kids, I have a stressful life, but I need at least 3 hours to hang out with myself, to kind of like reintegrate. I think a big piece of me being spread too thin or like casting my net too wide, I don't come off as that warm, like intentional, nurturing woman I want to be. So if I'm scattered and I'm preoccupied and I'm distracted, it's because I have too much going on and I have not promoted my self-care routine. And for me, it's like I feel guilty when I take care of myself. And we've talked about how expensive it is to be a woman to take care of yourself.
Sure.
It's like $100, and I'm like, it cost me $300 just to like myself? Like, this is bullshit. Plus therapy, plus meds. Like, I can't keep up.
This is too much.
So a day alone, I mean, even though I have to pay for the childcare for that, it's like, that's part of my self-care. So again, the answer is that if I'm not fully integrated as a complete goddess, then I'm not working at my best, and I need to be able to take care of that part of myself.
I love that. And motives, checking your motives. I don't know that we internally do that enough, where we're like, why am I doing
That's a program
what I'm
thing.
doing?
Like being in AA, where you're constantly convinced that you're selfish, self-serving, and you're gonna die if you don't fix your bed. Like those kind of leaps for me, I'm like, okay, well, am I gonna die if I have an extra shot of my espresso? Probably not, but I've always had to like do that scan, like the emotional scan, like, hey, is this good work or is this selfish? Am I doing harm or am I not? Like, is this permanent damage?
Yeah.
Like this is the
self-reflection piece is so important.
And then being able to face it against other people, because AA in itself is a great program, but sometimes it's a whole bunch of selfish people telling each other to do selfish things. And if you don't have like one person to be like, excuse me, this is pretty fucked up, then it's not going to be explored. It's just a bunch of people like saying the same thing to each other, so it becomes the truth. And that's not necessarily the truth, right? It's just a whole bunch of people saying the same thing.
Totally.
Which can get really scary in other places, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and that whole, when we were talking about Johari's window, that's the important piece too of having people around you or seeing a therapist, because there's certain things about yourself that you can't see, that only other people can see. And so the process of therapy, which is phenomenal, is you're talking, right? And actually, a lot of times while clients are talking, if they say something that I get this visual, I don't know why, that made me think of another time from their childhood or something like that, we'll discuss that connection and that link, and it's like this aha moment.
Yeah. When I think about interacting with difficult or complicated people, I take all of the JPEGs, per se, that I've clicked and dragged into their file folder, and instead of coming in blind or coming in without like defenses, I have to double click on their icon and all the pictures come up of my interactions with them, and I take all of those pictures and I use them to interact with them in the future. So if you have all those difficult childhood pieces, or you have that really bossy, complicated mother who was to this or to that, I try my best not to emulate the things that are really intentionally toxic or intrusive, and be able to, it's like creating a collage where I'm not necessarily in the collage, just kind of like scoping the collage with the person. And I love that. That's my jam about therapy, is like experiencing people and helping them connect the dots. And I think that that's so empowering when a person like doesn't feel crazy anymore.
Sure.
They're like, oh my God, you're totally right. Like, that's the way I'm doing exactly what my dad did to my mom. Like, what? Of course my marriage is miserable. It's like, oh my God, you're welcome. Now go fix it. No, it's incredible.
That's why I almost, I was watching, we went to see the new Quentin Tarantino movie, and there was a trailer for the new, I'm blanking right now, Mr. Rogers movie.
I love him.
And so he said something about loving broken people, and I was almost in tears. But that's like what I love about our team, like the team that we've created. Just fantastic therapists who won't only like be, it's just like you're in this place where like you're talking about the clicking and dragging, and I'm thinking like that's the kind of therapist I want, right? Like people that you would want to see yourself, like a team that you trust and you can be there. And it's so cool to, I mean, that's why we do what we do, like to help people and
build community.
And build community. And
I think we're all thirsty for it too.
Yeah.
And I mean, not necessarily for sobriety, not necessarily for mental health, but just for human connection.
Like healing.
Yes, to have a bunch of people who are damaged goods, because everybody's damaged goods, but really authentically thriving in their damage. And it's just like, oh, the lotus, you know, that's what I think of muddy waters and all these beautiful flowers coming up from muddy water, and it's like, this is exactly what I wanted. This is the manifestation. This is the abundance piece of all of these wonderful people working for the greater good. And it's just like, oh, finally.
It's so cool. We're actually going to interview some of the new clinicians on here, so that'll be exciting.
You can get some feedback. You guys can interview them too.
Yeah. So we, I guess that's going to be it for today. You can follow us on, there's a new Instagram.
Yes.
Do you know what the tag is?
No, I'll have to get it.
So there's a new Instagram. It's the Cynical Therapist. It's like, you'll see Elle's bangs in the picture.
Totally.
I know that you're doing the Twitter. We're writing articles now. So one just came out yesterday, and we'll share it, the Cynical Therapist. So yeah, very exciting stuff.
Kaboom.
And we will keep vlogging.
Yeah. I hate that word. Can somebody please come up with a better word for vlogging?
There probably is a better word. We're just old.
Video blogging.
There has to be a better word.
Can we make a word?
And there's like IGTV now on Instagram. I got to figure that out.
Yeah, right?
Oh my gosh.
It's too fast, dude.
We need a millennial to help us with the tech stuff.
Back in my day.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you later.
Bye.
Bye.